Okay. Put your hand up if you know what a computer is. Well, there's some people who don't know yet. How many have a sign-in for your club website on Club Runner? Not bad at all. How many have a sign-in for Rotary International? A little bit less. How many know what Rotary Club Central is? Rotary Club Central. If you've signed up for any of the newsletters coming out of RI, and you should, there's been notification about something called Rotary Club Central. And it's their move to put the data that we give them, membership data, gender, age, all that kind of information, putting it online so it's accessible. This form you're going to be filling in, the planning guide for effective Rotary clubs. Some of this data is already online. What they took was the data that, some of it is actual data, so your actual membership that you're paying your dues on is in the system already. And what you're going to do, you're going to be filling this in, and this, as I was telling my group from Sector 9, this looks quite a challenge when you see it. And it looks quite a challenge when you see it blank. It's not as big a challenge when you look at last year's unless they really screwed it up. Oh, messed it up. If they messed up last year's, it might not look so good. But if you look at last year's, you'll see the data isn't all that bad. If you're planning membership, you might want to grow a little. If you're really greedy, you want to grow a lot so that your president-elect next year, when they see it, they'll see it was really messed up if you do that. So you're going to fill in a sheet here, and a couple of pages in, you're going to be filling in the foundation information. Both of those have to be filled in before pets. Not hopefully, filled in before pets. It's not difficult. It doesn't take long. The information is very simple. The only problem this year, since we're in a transition from doing everything on paper to doing most of it, we hope all of it eventually electronically, you're going to have to do some of this twice. The membership data, though, you could fill in the membership data online and then bring it back here, because you're going to be filling in 3 numbers. Does that make membership planning sound a little bit easier? 3 numbers. You're going to fill in 3 numbers. I'm going to show you where they are online, and then you'll fill the spot in here where you fill it in. Because online, the numbers for your previous year are all filled in. When you see it blank, you go, where in the hell am I going to find that number? That's what you end up doing. You have to figure, how do I know what last year's number were? I was a PE last year. Well, in the online system, last year's numbers are already there. So that's why I would go online, see the numbers, cheat, and copy them down here. Those are real numbers, not something that you're guessing at that might be right, and so on. Same with foundation. Foundation numbers, you won't know what last year's were unless that's what you do. Again, the online system will show you that. So for those that have found themselves with the ability to go onto the RI site and sign in member access, that's what you're doing when you sign in at the RI site. You sign into member access. There's a ton of information on the member access page, and I'm going to show you that page in a second, but we're only interested in one subset of all of that information, and that's called Rotary Club Central. And then once we get into Rotary Club Central, I'll briefly show you what that is, and it's actually pretty fantastic. The information, the gathering and everything is so cool. It's going to be really useful. For a techie guy like me, that's what they should be doing. The data that they've got should be brought back to us so we can do something with it, so we can work on it. When you want to get information, it's in there, and you'll see that all of the last year data where they have it, and some of it you don't actually have last year's data, is available online. And so next year, the information you're putting in this year will be available for the PEs of next year. And just going on the number in the room already, some of you apparently will be PEs next year. Yeah? Nobody's volunteering. There's a bunch here already. Okay, we're going to look at this. Rotary Club Central, I'm going to show you how you get into it if you haven't done it already. We're going to take a very high level look at what it is, what it does, and the initial requirements. And you have to fill in two areas of the form, the electronic form. Membership, as I said, 3 numbers, and foundation giving, and that'll be, I think there's maybe 8 numbers in there. So it's not really that difficult. Rotary Club Central, as I just said, is a part of Member Access. Member Access is a much bigger picture. There's a lot of information, and I'm not covering any of that tonight other than Rotary Club Central. So if you want to go back there, if you haven't done it already, go there and take a look. Club Runner and RI's site are 2 distinct websites, systems. The only relationship between the two is if you've turned on RI integration, and half of you have not, at least half of you have not. If that's been turned on, the membership data that you put in Club Runner, your secretary or yourself, whoever's doing that, is transferred to RI itself, to International. If you haven't turned it on, you or your secretary has to put that information in twice. So one of the things you should find out really quickly is, how do I turn that on? It's fairly straightforward. You have to turn something on inside the RI site, and then you turn something on in the Club Runner site, basically saying, join these 2 together. From then on, when you put in attendance information and member data, it is synchronized with the RI site. That's really cool, because if you're relying on the data that's coming out of the RI site, it better be accurate. So remember, you have to do that. Turn that on. 36 of the 52 clubs have not turned on RI integration.
Why do you suppose that is, Phil?
Nobody told them they should, or gave them a good reason for why it would make sense to turn it on. And the real reason is, if you turn it on, it's one less thing somebody has to do, and the 2 sites will be synchronized. So when you make an email change on the Club Runner site, or your secretary does, it changes in RI.
So the secretary can change both of them?
Yes. Yes. President, treasurer, secretary, executive secretary, foundation chair. All of those can do that.
Where's that located?
It's in Member Access. I won't go into that tonight, but if anybody wants to know, you can contact me directly. My information, I think, is in this here, and if not, I'll give it to you before I leave. But you can always get me on the Club Runner website, the district website. My email's there, or send an email to web support at rotary6380.org. .info.
You don't want to break out at the assembly too.
Yep. What it's going to do at Rotary Club Central is going to let you enter your goals, and the two we're dealing with, foundation and membership, are actually very important parts, but they're also very small in data requirements. There's not a lot of information we actually require. Okay, you start off by going to the RI site, rotary.org. If you haven't been there, you should. Most of the hands came up in here, so most people are familiar with that. To get to member, you can go off and search, and the RI site, we all know, has been somewhat cluttered and complicated. They are making big efforts to change it. There's a big move underway to give us brand new websites. The first one that's somewhat completed is the grants area. If you go look at the grants area, it is fantastic. The information in there is really, really good. And the rest of RI's site is following along right behind it. And Rotary Club Central is another part of that. So our complaints may still continue if we like, but the site is getting very much better. So we're not going to cover anything else. We're not going to look at where you find media or logos or read about literacy or Interact or Rotaract. We're not going to do any of that. Right here on the top screen, and if you go to rotary.org, this is where you'll arrive, this page. And right there is something called Member Access. You'll click on Member Access. And you'll arrive here at the login page. If, like Joe, you already know your login name and password, you can enter it here. If you don't have a login name and password, you go down here and create an account. I'm not taking you through it. I assume you're intelligent enough to click on that button and answer the few questions it has below it. Assuming you know how to log in with your login name and password, you'll arrive at a screen like this, probably. If you're, as some of you are multiple executives within your club, you may be the executive secretary and the treasurer. You might be the president and the foundation, or one or more of those executive level positions. You will be asked to make a choice before you move into the rest of it. And that's only because some of the choices will give you rights to do things and some of them will not. When a member goes into member access, they are not given a choice. In Rotary International's database, they don't have an executive position. If you have more than one position, you will be asked to choose which one. So if you're, I hate to say it, just the president, you probably won't get this because there is no choice. If you are, as in my case, the president and the executive secretary, and I gave myself this position years ago because it is all powerful. Doesn't matter what else you are, you can do everything with that one. So if you want to be in the loop all the time, make yourself the executive secretary. So choose one and move forward. If you're the president, you'll move forward anyway. Okay, when you get into member access, I'm not going to cover. Do you want me to turn some lights off? This seems awfully bright to me, and I'm close to it. So, okay, so you come to the, once you've clicked the choice and you're in member access, again, there is a ton of information that I am not going to go through tonight that gives you a lot of information about your club. Simple things here like updating the membership data, the club data, daily numbers, your paying your bills, Rotary Showcase, I couldn't see the words from here. Rotary Showcase, which is another fantastic place to browse in if you've got some time. I'm only interested in talking about Rotary Club Central. It doesn't jump out at you, but it's the top of that row of choices. So if you click on Rotary Club Central, you end up here. Okay. There's a club snapshot, and what I'm going to do with these scrolling edges here, this is the top part of the screen, and I'm going to go down about 5 pages worth of this information. So you've got these pages. Every one of them is in that thing there. As I said, it's not necessarily readable, but you recognize the screen and you could put a note beside it if you need to. I'm going to come back and click on this, Rotary Club Central, because it only brought you to the top layer view. Okay, so we're on this page. The first thing you ought to see is the name of your club, your name, the dates, and a few other pieces of information. Just below that on the screen, remember I'm scrolling down the screen, you'll get a summary of your club's status. So in here is, in your club, of the 25 goals you set last year, and I'll come back to this in a second, but this view is of the current year. We'll be able to go to the forward years in a second. So in the current year, completion of the goals. So this will tell you how your goals are progressing through the year. This is a quick summary. You don't need to go look at the detail, even though there is detail behind this. Same with service, foundation giving. We're 25% of the way for our foundation goals, the numbers at the bottom, and so on. So I'm not going to get into any detail, just that's what you'll see as you scroll down the page. Below that is membership trends, a summary again going back to 2008. So all this information is great under any circumstances, but this is now going to be regularly maintained and viewable at any time by you or your members. And this is summary. This is not editable data. This is real, actual data per year. Then they put start putting the information in columns in numbers. Note that it's currently saying 2012-13, this is the current year, and this is the data. At the beginning of the year, when I took over in July 1st, the number was at 20. I set the goal at 17 because I actually went down because there was people that shouldn't be in the club. They were members in name only, weren't contributing, weren't going to be around, so I set the goal, and we're 90% of the way to the goal. As an idea. We'll come back to this in a second. If you're the the PE for this year, and you come here, there will not, I'm going to look at it in a second, there will not be an edit button. There'll be a view button for you. But when you change to 2013-14, you will be able to click edit to put new numbers in for the goals for those years. And during that year, you will be allowed to enter the numbers to update your goal. Or update the results of the goal even. And going down, you can see I'm the current president, so I have the edit button for 2012-13. You can see these are the numbers, and I'm going to go down a little bit further. I'm not going to spend long on each one, I'm just going to show you where the numbers are. Then we get down into that first part. Let me just go back one. That first part, these numbers right here, that one, and that one, or sorry, these two on one of those, are going to be the numbers you'll alter. 3 numbers for membership numbers is what you're going to enter. And if you guys are the PE, that will say view for that year. If you click that tab to make it 2013-14, if everything's set up correctly, and that's why the data has to be correct in both Club Runner and at RI, but more specifically for RI, you change it to there, this will become edit for you. So you will be able to click edit and change the numbers. We'll come back to that in a second. Below that are the areas we're not going to fill in. Those first 3 numbers you are going to fill in before pets. It's not much to ask. 3 numbers before pets. You could do it tonight. If you want to go up 20%, I'll show you. You'll go in here and you'll type in 120% is your goal, and it'll calculate what that is in people. Or you can say if we're 20, I want 24, and it'll say that's 125% or whatever. It'll do that for you. But doing that is setting the goal. I think this will be going away, maybe not too long, but this year you're going to have to fill in both. But the good thing is it has the beginning numbers for you, which your paper copy does not. Your blank form doesn't have last year's numbers or this year's numbers. Rotarian engagement is all the different things I was mentioning, members participating in club service activities. It'll tell you what you put in last year. There won't be any because that's not something that was captured. But you can go ahead and fill in numbers for this year. I will for this year to end this year. And Lynn will take over and put his goals in for 2013-14. If I say half of the members will get involved this year and he wants to have everybody involved next year, he can set his goal. And then going through the year, you'll be filling in the percentage of the goal achieved. So when members look at it, or you show members, you'll be able to see progress through the year. And if you look through this yourself, there's a lot of different areas where they're allowing you to measure and to plan for your goals for the year. Club communication is another section. Again, I'm not going to go through that. Public relations, you can see how many there are. And then down at the very bottom, if you've done a change, we'll come back to editing the first one, but I had this one on this page. Once you've set goals or modified them during the year, you'd come back and click the button, Submit All Goals, and those would be put into RI. Now they're not cast in concrete. You can come back and change those numbers. If you see through the year that you wasn't going to be good, you can change those numbers to say how well you're doing through the year. And then submit all goals. You'll see that as you go through. Okay, coming back to that first page with membership. For you, you want to make sure you click the 2013-14. It'll take, it's not the fastest website I found. It can take, there's a delay, a slight delay, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 seconds that you'll see when it changes, so it's not instantaneous. So just be prepared for that. Just wait. It will come clean. Once you've clicked that, you will have the edit. As the PN, you will be the president for next year, which is 2013-14. You'll be able to come here. You'll click the edit button, and you'll get these fields to fill in. You can either fill in the percentage or the goal total. So you can say, in this case, we're going to end the year with 18 members. Lynn could come in here and put, I want to be 22 members, and it'll calculate the percentage for you. Or you can say, I want to be 150%, and it'll give you the number you need to achieve. So either or in both cases. New members retained is kind of a current problem for RI. We're 1.3 million members, and we've been like that for 25 years, it seems. We take in some hundreds of thousands a year, and we let some hundreds of thousands go, and the number is just stuck there. So this particular measure is going to be a good one. This is the new members that we had 0 set originally, because this is the first year they've done it. But you're going to say how many members you're going to get this year, how many new members. Then you're going to be really brave and say how many of those, either percentage or number, am I going to retain through the end of the year. Seems like come on, I just got a new member, of course they'll stay. Not the case. So you can either use percentages or numbers, but that's the 3. So I didn't lie, there's 5 boxes, but you only need to fill in 3. Either these 2 percentages and a starting number for new members, or the goal totals and the starting number for new members. Does everybody understand that? That's the 3 numbers I'm asking you to complete before pets. If we had any real challenge at all, we'd have challenged ourselves to have it done tonight, but that's okay. Mary wouldn't let me ask that. Okay. I've got, in the words you've got there, if you can read them, it says you can either enter a percentage or a number. Once you've completed those few values, there's only 3 of them, you click on the Submit All Goals. Yes, by all means.
What if you can't get in?
Oh, you're not a PN anymore. No. How do you mean what you can't get in? You can't log in?
No, I'm logged in, but I can't edit. And I'm a PE, president-elect.
Well, remember I said the rules have to be that Rotary International has to know you're your PE.
Okay.
If they don't, they won't give you the rights.
So how can you get...
And I'll bet one of the problems is you're a PE on Club Runner, but nobody bothered to tell RI. Which is a really, really bad thing. There's a lot of information you'll get as a PE from RI that you won't get if they don't know.
Okay.
So that leads back to my other 36 of the clubs don't have RI integration turned on. Your secretary or whoever's duty that is either needs to go to RI and make you a PE, which is highly likely, or turn on integration. And if you turn on integration, the problem's fixed, as long as your Club Runner account is filled in correctly too. If you don't have Club Runner, and you're using some other kind of website, or you just don't have it, and your club relies on Facebook or whatever, then they need to go to RI and do it directly. Yes, sir?
So the fact that I can edit mine means that they entered me in as a PE?
Yeah! You're in, he's not.
In my club, the secretary is the only person who knows how to run Club Runner.
Okay.
Now, if I go and tell him you have to integrate it, is it intuitive that it will be some instructions? You can do it?
No, there is instructions on how to do it.
Where should I tell him to look, and what should I tell him to do?
Tell him to contact me.
Oh,
it's quicker.
We'll do
Tell them to contact me. I'll lead them through getting it done.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other questions before we... Now the next part's even faster, even though it's a lot more data. Okay, I don't know if you remember, you probably don't, but there's a page further back where this was a tab at the very top, and there was 2 other areas. Your club was membership and various other things, all the membership things, integration with your club and so on. Services, activities within the club. Foundation giving is all the things you'd expect related to the foundation. I'm not going to spend as much time on this as I did with membership, and that wasn't very long. So I'm just going to show you it's exactly the same process. Exactly the same process. There's going to be a view button if you're not the PE, or they don't know you're the PE yet. Once they do, in your case, you'll be able to see the edit button. But I want you to, if we were going through this in class with computers, you'd click on Foundation Giving. We're only doing the 2 sections tonight. So we click on Foundation Giving. We go into that page, and it's, again, that's just the heading. Tells you what it's for. You can print the whole page, and the whole page is all of the data from real RI data that they know about. So they know your foundation giving. That's in the books. And they can put the numbers in for real. So you might think you've done one thing, but if you go here, you'll see the real thing. So this is the other thing you would do. You would go here and look if you're filling in that left side of the form where it says prior state or current state, I think. This would be the current state. So if I go down, again, this is one big long scrolling screen, and I've just cut out sections to take you down. So the first one is the annual fund trend, annual fund. Remember the terms from Foundation? These are the charts, your goal and year to date. Oops. Then going down, you get to the numbers. The top part was a graph. There's the numbers, again, showing you which year you're in. I'm just showing the current year. And I don't have the edits up yet. Clicking down here to 2013-14, you can see at that point we're now in edit. Now the reason why I did this, I clicked 2013-14, I am not the president next year. Why am I seeing an edit box?
Because you have to. Yeah.
Give a prize to the man in the corner. I'm the executive secretary. I still have power. It's no fun not having power. So, if you want to have power, make yourself executive secretary for life. It's fun. Okay, in the annual fund, here's the numbers. There's the edit box. When you click edit, some of these will stay. These are real numbers from RI. These are going to be your goal. And I'm not sure even, I think it does ask me to edit that. I didn't click any edit boxes on this. I just went through the list. You will, go ahead.
Well, the first column is 11, 10-11.
10-11, that's the ended in 2011, June, end of June. So I took over July of 2011.
11-12, it's not even on there.
Because I don't know why.
So it skips the current year.
And it's still in the current year because it doesn't know what donations have been made. And up here I chose to look at 13-14. So in 13-14 it doesn't know what the end of 2012 was. Sorry for the confusion.
Phil,
Yes,
at the end of the year, they're usually behind several
they probably.
weeks.
Yeah, I don't know why.
We're not going to have the exact figures.
No,
when we do
no.
right?
Yeah, well, at your club level, you should know what you hope you're going to be. Maybe you're still waiting on funds to be delivered. So you can plan on that number as your starting point. And I don't know when they press the button and say, the year is over now. I don't know when they're doing that. So again, that was the annual fund. Here's the Polio Plus fund. Here's Major Gifts and Permanent Fund. You can set goals. And I think we're going to want all of those goals set by pets. Notice we're talking, I said 8, 3, 4, 5, 6. It might be 8 numbers you're going to have to come up with by pets.
What if I don't see any goals set for any of the years? What does that mean? That the previous
You looking at 13-14 or 12-13?
12-13, see any goals?
Well, either somebody's been putting the money in another account,
Over in
No, so there's no goals?
No, these are actuals.
No, he said he's looking at his and there
Oh.
are no goals.
Well, they had, there'd be no goals for 11-12 because they've just started doing this, but the actuals should have been in for 2010-11. Should have. Didn't say it was perfect.
I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of presidents who try to fill out this paperwork, they have no idea what the numbers should be. And it's okay to make stuff up.
Absolutely, Michael.
Who better to make up your numbers than you? These are your goals for next year, and if it's not available through other members of the club, you have poetic license.
Well, you'll finally make up the number. Your board and maybe your membership will help you get there. If you say $1 million, you better be knowing where that $1 million is coming from.
Sure, yeah, I meant realistically, but
Yeah.
by illustration, I had my secretary and my treasurer over for a barbecue, and we had out the planning guide, and I said, what's the answer to this?
2 Guinnesses later, you had the ansors.
Did you say what?
2 Guinnesses later, and you had the answer.
Some of the numbers didn't add up, but we had none.
Yeah, they don't have to add up. Okay, so that's the 3 fields you'll fill in.
What's your email address?
Sorry?
What's your email address?
My email address, if everybody wants to write it down, if it's not in there anywhere. Webmaster. One word, no spaces, no dots, no nothing. Webmaster at farmingtonrotaryclub.org. Feel free to use it.
I do.
farmingtonrotaryclub.org. I still work for a living, although it's not much of a living. I still work for a living, and I will answer emails. I sit at a desk from 6 in the morning till 7 at night at my computer, so it's unlikely I will not. Well, I do take bathroom breaks and lunch breaks and things, but feel free. I will try and answer your emails as soon as I get them. So there was those about 8 fields to fill in foundation by pets. So the entire foundation section, the membership, 3 numbers on the club section for membership, and none of the rest, and none of this is required by pets. But I think when you get into doing this, you'll find yourself thinking, oh, I should get 50% of the members involved in the project. Nah, let me make it 80%. You can do that right now. This is not, as I said, put into concrete. You can come back to these numbers. Having them done for something to review with your board would be great. So doing it without having the board's involvement to bring it in as a proposal or your thoughts would be a great thing to do, and you'd have the dang thing filled in. Then if you have changes to make because they say there's no way you'll get all those people involved in that activity, you want to take the number down, do it. I would, if I were you, and I'm not PN next year, if I were you, I'd try and fill in all of these. So I'm going to go down through the service section, which is a little bit longer, but again, just to show you what's in it. Again, no goals were set for these in prior years, so at least for me, and I think all of you, there's no project track to see how well we did against those numbers. But there you can see service projects and activities. They go into how many volunteers, how many hours, how much money. These are all things that make them up, as Michael just said. Because there are no prior activities for that. But these would be great goals, great measures for your club, so you can see how well you're doing. You're going to run it not quite like a business, but like a business. You want to know what your targets are, you want to know how well you're doing, and your members should be able to see this whether you report on it quarterly or they look at the data. You can do this in your club. Get these, you can run the reports, print them, hand them out if you're not using a computer to present. This information is available. Goals and progress for service projects and activities, goals for every year. There's a bunch of people here said they're involved in new generations. Notice they have goals for the new generations participants. How many inbound, how many outbound, number of RILA participants. Everything that your club normally wants to get involved in, but is usually not written down as something that can be seen, something stuck on the wall as an activity. And to finish, you are asked to fill in the membership and the foundation. That's all you're being asked to do. That's it. Well done.
Okay.